SAT has now become digital, which means that you will be taking this test now on a computer instead of on a paper. And this is how it is different from the paper version. I will be focusing more on the SAT math part since I am a math tutor and I teach SAT math. But overall, I will give you a brief of how the digital SAT is different than the paper SAT for both ELA and math. So first of all, the time has changed from 3 hours to 2 hours and 14 minutes. In the paper SAT, we were getting 3 hours for the entire test with 154 questions. And now in the digital SAT, we will be only getting 2 hours and 14 minutes with 98 questions in total. This includes both math and ELA. Now when the test starts, first thing that you get is the first section that you used to get in the paper SAT was reading. So there were 2 different sections for reading, and second section was for writing and language in the paper version. And in the digital version, for reading and writing both, we have just one section, and that one section will be of 64 minutes. And here, within these 64 minutes, you will have to complete your reading and writing subject. Again, that will have 2 modules, Module 1 and Module 2. Both of these modules will have 27 questions each. Alright, and the difference between Module 1 and Module 2 is just that the Module 2 will depend upon your performance in Module 1. So let's say basically it means that the sections will be adaptive. As you can see on the left hand side, the question difficulty, section adaptive. This means that difficulty of Module 2 depends on the performance on Module 1. So the test will start with easy to medium questions. And then if you will give the answers correctly, then in the Module 2 you will get the harder questions. But if you answer the questions incorrectly in Module 1, then you might get easy questions on Module 2. So this is the change for ELA. And to complete both of these modules, you're going to get 64 minutes. Previously, we just had reading section and we had to do it in 65 minutes. Now moving ahead, you are going to get a break of 10 minutes after completing your reading and writing section. In the paper version as well, you were getting a break of 10 minutes after completing your reading section, which was of 65 minutes earlier. Now, after the break of 10 minutes, you will be starting with the math section. Now, the major difference in digital SAT with respect to math section is that in digital SAT, you will be allowed calculators for the entire math section. Previously, there were 2 sections for math. The one section with no calculator and the other section with calculator allowed. So previously you had 2 sections on math. One section was of 25 minutes in which you were not allowed calculator. And then the next section was of 55 minutes in which you were allowed to use the calculator. But now for the entire math section, you will be allowed the calculator. But here is the trick. Actually, 90% of your math section's questions can be solved without using the calculator. So if you find yourself using a calculator more often, then understand that you are missing some short trick or you're missing some concept which can be actually used to avoid using calculator. Trust me when I say this, 90% of the SAT math questions can be solved without using the calculator. So that's about the math section, and again in math section as well, it is actually divided into 2 modules, Module 1 and Module 2. For each module, you're going to have 22 questions and you'll get 35 minutes each. So in total, you're going to get 70 minutes for your entire math section. And again, the difference between the module 1 and module 2 is that in the module 1 you'll get easy to moderate questions, and depending on your performance you will get questions in module 2. Okay. Scoring, if I talk about scoring, the scoring is same. You're gonna score between 400 to 1600, and in the paper version as well we used to score between 400 to 1600. Now there is in the paper version we used to have the multiple choice questions where we used to have 4 answer choices, and we used to have grid-ins. Grid-ins were, you know, where you would get your answer and you had to color the correct digit. Now this time again you're going to have multiple choice questions which will have 4 answer choices, and then you will have student produced responses. Now next, in the paper version, so in the paper version, after your 10 minutes break, you used to do writing and language section for the next 35 minutes. And after that, you used to do math section without calculator for the 25 minutes. But in the digital version, you're just going to do math module 1 and math module 2. And that's it. Now, there are a couple of interesting trivia about the difference between the paper version and the digital version. So for example, here is one point of difference in the reading passages. In the paper version, you used to get 4 long passages and 1 comparison, and you used to have 10 questions per passage. Now in the digital version, you will be getting 54 short passages with 1 question per passage. So that's the difference between the reading sections. And then if I talk about the time that you will get per question, so previously in the paper version you used to get 75 seconds per question for the reading section, 48 seconds per question for the writing section, 75 seconds per question for the math section without calculator, and 87 seconds per question for the math section with calculator. Now in the digital version, you're going to get 71 seconds for your reading and writing section, and you're going to get a whooping 95 seconds for each question on your math section.